Hello, this is Tammy with Debbie Tammy Creations, and today I'm going to show you how to make a double pendant. So for this you will need 2 stones, cabochons. You might want some copper beads. I've got 12-inch lengths of square copper wire. This is dead soft 20 gauge. And about 3 feet of 28 gauge round wire. And for the tools, I've got my little pin vise to make one of these twisted. These are optional, but nylon jaw pliers, round nose pliers, flush cutters, and chain nose or tweezer nose pliers. So to begin, we're going to I will show you my stones. So I've decided to use, these are a little bit contrasting stones. You could use, stones that are the same color, but I think it looks nice when they're contrasting. You could also use, and I think it looks really nice, 2 teardrops. So it kind of looks like an hourglass shape. And I've made several like this too. But I thought that we would go with the oval and the upside down teardrop for this particular double pendant. My oval is 1 inch tall and 3/4 of an inch, 0.75 inches wide. And my teardrop is 3/4 of an inch tall and 1/2 inch wide. So to begin, we're going to take one of our lengths of 12-inch 20 gauge square dead soft raw copper wire, and we're going to stick the end of it into our pin vise to make it twisted. And I'm just going to tighten that, and then I'm going to hold the other end in my pliers. Okay. And then just start twisting the vise, and it will start twisting that wire. And I'm going to make it pretty twisted. So you just keep going until it gets to the point that you like it. And then I'm going to release it from the pin vise. All right. Now this will be my top wire. So when I put my 4 together, oh, I forgot to say, you also are going to need, unless you want to do a little weave to connect these wires with 28 gauge, you can use 22 or 24 gauge half round wire, which I really like. I didn't used to use this at all, but once I got it and I started using it, it's almost always my go-to for connecting the base of my wires. So I'm going to put these together in the center, and you want the half round part facing the wires, and the round part is going to be up or out. So we're going to put these together and start wrapping. And then I like to use my nylon jaw pliers just to keep all the wires nice and flat, and to press these down every now and then like this. And then I'm going to continue wrapping just a few more times until I finish with both ends in each end pointing up on the same side. I'm going to cut right in the center there, so that when they fold down, they're in the middle. And that's going to be the side where the stone sits. So my stone will sit right on top of that, and the nice even side will be on the outside. So when you do this, it might be easier if you put it down, on the table. But I'm going to start wrapping these around my stone, and my twisted one is on top, as you can see. And there's the back. And I'm going to bring the back wires in just a bit. And you can just do this with your fingers. Sometimes I do it, I take the stone out and I bend these inward with my pliers. But usually this dead soft wire is easy enough to bend just with your fingers. Okay, so now I've got these wires coming up. I think what I'll do, because I have this top one twisted, I'm going to pull it so that it comes up over the stone just a little bit so that it's a little more noticeable. All right, like this. And you'll have time to kind of maneuver that as we go. But then I'm going to curve these in the center, curve them together. And I want to try and make this pretty close to the stone so that there's not much of a gap between the top of the stone and where these meet. Okay. What I'm going to do now is take out my stone and I'm going to attach my 3-foot long piece of weaving wire. So I'm going to lay all of these wires out so they're next to each other. And we want all 4 on either side to kind of be spread out a little bit like this. I'm going to keep the 2 back wires though kind of separate. So we'll sort of bend those down a little bit. Okay. And what we're going to do is start by attaching this wire right here to the 3rd wire back. And we're going to do a few wraps. 1, 2, 3 wraps. And I like to push those together. And I'm going to go ahead and trim that tail there. All right. And after I've done 3 wraps, then I'm going to do 2 wraps over these 2 bottom wires. So I'm going to go over 2 and under, and back over 2 and under. Then I'm going to come up in between those 2 so that I can do 2 wraps over the top 2. So I'm going to do 1 and underneath those 2 and 2. And then push them together. Then you're going to come up underneath that twisted wire and you're going to go around that twisted wire and the next one. So both twisted wires, we're going to go around both of those twice, once, and once again, twice. And then we're going to come up between those 2. We don't want them so close together. There we go. Come up between them. Then we're going to find the next wire. And we're going to go around those bottom 2 on that side. And then again, around these bottom 2. Then you're going to have to go in between those 2 to go around the top 2. And underneath the top 2 and around again. All right, so now we've got this kind of, it's kind of going straight across. You're going to have to push these down on this side just to make them a little more level. There we go. Okay. And then we're going to go around each wire, starting with the top wire once. So around the top wire, underneath the second to the top and over it, underneath the third from the top and over it, underneath the third from the bottom and over it, in between or underneath the second from the bottom and then over it, and underneath and around the bottom wire. So that's going to be the pattern. Okay, and we're going to do this 3 or 4 times just to create a little bed, we could say, for your, this stone is going to be in here, like this, and then we're creating a little bed for this one to sit on up above, okay, like that. But we're going to do just a few more of these little wraps. So it's 2 around the bottom, 2 around the next 2, 2 around the middle 2, 2 around these 2, and then 2 around the top 2, and then 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And I like to wrap from underneath coming up and around. So that's the way I do it, underneath and up and around. And then we're going to go between the 2 we just wrapped in order to go around the next 2. We'll do that twice. Then you're going to come up in between the 2 that you were just wrapping to go around the next 2, which are the 2 twisted wires. Do that twice. Come in between the 2 middle ones to go around the next 2 twice, and underneath and around the top 2 twice. And then we're going to do 1 around each. So we'll go under the top and around it, under second from the top and around it, under the third from the top and around it, and under the second twisted and around it, under the second wire from the bottom and around, and then once around both. So I'm just going to repeat that one more time off camera, and I will see you back in a minute. All right, so I finished that repeat one more time, and now just to finish off this weave, I'm going to do 2 or 3 more on this last wire, on this bottom wire. And I'm going to press all of these down and then trim that wire. Okay. Next, I'm going to bring these back wires that I had just pushed out of the way, and I'm going to bend them so that they come through this hole here, like this, okay? So they're gonna come up from the back, and now we can place this stone back in here. All right, and we really want this top wire to come over the top so that it's really holding that stone in place. Sometimes this is bent a little forward, so you either push it with your fingers, sometimes you can just push it down onto the table and rock it, and that will push this up so it's more snug against the bottom of the stone. All right, now we've got these 2 coming out right above it, and that's going to be a nice place to set this stone. Okay, so it's going to rest right on top of all of the little weaves that we did. So those aren't really going to be seen, but it's just going to hold that stone really well in place from the back. And what we're going to do now is wrap these 2 around that stone. And let's see, it's really wobbly at first. Actually, I'm going to crisscross them like this, okay? And this stone is quite wide, or tall, I should say. So I'm just going to lift it up a little bit at the base so that it's coming up the side, and then crisscrossing at the top above the stone itself, like that. Okay, so it's still not in there real secure. I'm going to take my pliers here at the bottom and just push those together a bit more. There we go. Okay, so we're going to take this teardrop pointed down, and the wires that we just brought in from the back, we're going to wrap around the sides and bring them up together at the top of the stone. And one of them we're going to crisscross over, and you have to kind of hold it here with your finger so that doesn't go too far around. And we're going to go around all of these wires, just like this. And they can kind of just be squished together. I'm gonna bring this a little tighter. There we go. Okay, just making sure that the stones are right on top of each other. And then it's still not secure in the front. So we want to, I'm going to wrap this around once more here. We want to bring one of these back wires. I'm going to bring one of these wires that are twisted around from behind. Actually, I'm going to bring the one that's on the same side as where this is coming from. So I'm going to just move this out of the way a bit. And I'm going to bring it around, and I'm going to cross it over the top of that wire. And it's real pretty because it's got that twist in it. Then I can bring this back down and around like this. All right, so it looks like this. And then from here, I'm going to bring that around the back, and following that same, or making it kind of a parallel to the one above, I'm going to wrap and capture the bottom of that stone and bring this around to the back. And it's just long enough that I can tuck it in here into that little space and pinch it down and bring it around to the back. And I'm just going to cut it a tiny bit so it doesn't stick out the side, and push that down to secure it against the back there. All right. So as you go, I mean, it is a bit fiddly, so you're gonna have to make some little adjustments as you go. And this one, I like to keep up on the side. There we go. So we've got these two in the back, holding the back in, and then two along the sides. Depends on really how tall your stone is. And then these two coming across the top. All right. Now from here, I'm going to just pull this a bit tighter and push these together in the back. Okay. Now what we have to consider is a bail. And I usually like to put some beads right there in the middle to kind of connect the two and hide that little space, although it's not bad, the space. So I'm going to pull my wires so that I can see which sides they go to. And I am going to use these 3 for my bail. So I'll have this twisted wire in the middle and 2 that are not twisted on either side. And I'm going to stretch that out. Okay. And then I'm going to bend those over, just over my finger, to make a little bail, and push it together there in the back. And this is where I like to bring this one that's been coming around one more time, just to close this bail up. So when you put your chain in there, it's going to stay right in that space. Okay, and then I'm going to cut this a bit and tuck it inside the bail, like that. All right, now just gonna fix that a little bit so that it's straighter across the top, and then I've got my bail at the top. And it's a little crooked, so I'm gonna straighten that out. Okay, now we've got our wires from the bail in the back, and we may not need those for anything, so I'll just leave those for now. And then let's bring this one, let's see, let's bring this one around the top, and I'm gonna put one bead on it to kind of cover up where we have those crossing spots. So I'm gonna get one bead. I'm gonna pick, I don't know, one of my little bit bigger ones. I think it's 4 millimeters. And I'm gonna put that here, so it ends up right there at the top. And I'm gonna go around it once, like that. So that will kind of cover up those little spaces there, the little pieces that we're wrapping around. And then I'm gonna make this straighter with my nylon jaw pliers. Okay. Then I'm gonna bring this down. So bring it down and around from the back so that I can put more beads on this, go this direction. So, but I'm gonna use these beads. Let's see, what size? I might use the same size. These are 4 millimeter, 3 millimeter. All right, I'm gonna try these 4 millimeter ones because I know they will go over this 20 gauge wire. Sometimes the holes on the 3 millimeter are just a little too small. So let's see if that's gonna do it. So we've got 3 there. Looks like we might want at least one more. Let me get one more of that size if I can find one. Yeah. I'll push it in here. So now we've got 4. And I'm going to bend this around this side, and I'm going to bring it through. And I'm going to trim it so you don't really see it, but tuck it in there. So looks to me like we need to do something here to kind of fix that little gaping area. I mean, it's really probably fine, but I think it would look better if we had something there. So I'm going to go ahead and trim these off in the back, these 3, and use my round nose pliers to bend them out of the way. So I'm just going to curl those up, kind of tuck them in along the side. Curl these, and then kind of bend them in. And this one as well. Curl it. So there are 2 going one way and 1 going the other, but this is on the back, so it's not going to show. And we don't want them to be sticking out to pinch anybody. All right. And we want to bend them so they're not visible. All right. Now let's bring another one of these around from this side, around the back. Okay. And I can feel one of these sticking up and poking, so I'm going to trim that a little bit. Okay, that's better. Now we really only have 1 more wire that we can use to fix what we've done down here. And I think we will just add a few more beads. Let me get some of these out here. 1, 2, I think just 3. So we'll have 4 on the top and then 3 on the bottom. So we'll do 1, 2, 3. Okay, that helps. And we can push that around. And I think we can even lift this up just a little bit and put this under and around it, so that it will be very secure. There we go. Just hold that in there, push it back down. Now, my stone is feeling a little bit, this bottom one, like it might pop out. So I'm just gonna bring these side ones so that they kind of are more toward the back. I said to keep them on the side, but I just feel like it might be safer if we had a little more coverage on the back. So I'm going to bend the top part of that over that stone there. So now it's not going to come out. All right. Then all we need to do is add our chain and oxidize it, and we've got a double pendant. So I think these will stay just fine. If you wanted to, you could connect these with some half round wire and just, you know, around those and keep them connected. But I think it's going to be just fine. And this one feels very secure now because we've got it captured around the front at the top and the bottom. And it's really secure in the back with all of our weaving. So there you go. Now, if you make this, I would love to see it. And I have an Instagram at Debbie Tammy Creations on Instagram. We also have Debbie Tammy Creations on Facebook, and you can leave a comment with a photo, and that would be awesome. And if you're on Instagram and you post it, just tag us so that we can see it. And you might even say this is a Debbie Tammy Creations design. Thank you, and hope you enjoyed. Bye.